I'm currently 2 months pregnant, but my mother-in-law has clearly stated she is not happy for me and hates that I'm pregnant. She's been coming over a lot to cook for us, but I haven't been eating her food. Not because I don't like it, I'm just in a lot of pain and very nauseous. But she's always complaining about it. I've been taking a lot of vitamins for my pregnancy, and when my mother-in-law asked, I didn't think much of it. This past Sunday, she came into our house and stayed for hours. Everywhere I go, I see her looking for something. I ask what she's looking for, but she doesn't say what, so I walk away and give her privacy. The past few days, I've had really bad abdominal pain, upset stomach, headache, and nausea. So when I called my doctor, she asked if I was taking anything, and I said yes, vitamins. She asked me to bring them in. That's when she told me it wasn't vitamins, it was actually aspirin. I knew right away my mother-in-law was the one who switched them out. I can't believe it. My mother-in-law made me feel so sick, and I almost miscarried if I didn't go see a doctor. I told my husband, and he confronted his mom. She completely denied it and said she would never do anything to harm her unborn grandbaby. It's so clear that she replaced my vitamins and she's lying about it. I'm so upset and I feel like I'm not being safe with her. I have no trust and I want her out of my life. But my husband says we have no proof.
University area, and obviously there aren't many student renters in July, but there had to be at least one person because someone ordered this pizza. It was scorching that night, even after sundown. My car's AC is a joke, and the piping hot pizzas don't help things much. I called the customer, and the voice on the other end sounded out of breath, saying, "Yeah?" I said, "Hey, it's your pizza out front, but there doesn't appear to be anybody home." Then the customer replies, still gasping for air, "Yeah, I'm not home." At this point, I felt like my bladder was about to burst, and I was much less patient than I'd usually be with a customer right out of the gate, so I replied, "Well, then we're going to have to terminate the order because I've arrived in the stated delivery window and you were supposed to pay in cash, so I don't know what to tell you. Plan ahead next time." I instantly regretted letting my bladder do the talking for me as the voice on the other end came through more clearly as a young, bubbly, and very distraught girl who couldn't have been older than her 20s. She apologized over and over, saying that she lost track of time at work but knew I was coming and she's literally running home right now. She followed up with, "Please don't leave. I'm starving and don't have a car. Seriously, please don't leave. 5 minutes tops, okay?" I know what it's like to be hungry, running late, have no car, and not live near any restaurants. Plus, hearing her voice reminded me of the last few times I delivered here and she'd always been so nice. I felt bad for snapping near any restaurants. Plus, hearing her voice reminded me of the last few times I delivered here and she'd always been so nice. I felt bad for snapping at her and tried to walk it back while simultaneously looking for potential spots to pee. I apologized to her and told her no rush and that I'd see her when she got there. I started scouting for places to pee, but all the houses were close together and offered no clumps or trees or anything. It was at emergency level now and I had to do something. The safest bet was to use the bush in front of the woman's house. She wasn't home and the streetlight was out so no one would see me. I went to the biggest cluster of bushes to avoid splatter and released. After the initial millisecond of relief, I noticed the sound was way off, more like peeing on something solid than something leafy. I couldn't make out what it was in the darkness, but all of a sudden I heard a deep voice exclaiming, "What the fuck?" Before I could turn around thinking I had been caught by a neighbor, a man came leaping out of the bushes. I met my boyfriend 7 months ago and we made it official 4 months ago. When we first started seeing each other, he told me that he had slept with his girl best friend, who he's known for less than a year. I was fine with it because it was before we met, but it was a bit uncomfortable for me. Seeing her all the time and watching them interact together was annoying. They're quite playful, always making fun of each other jokingly, making inside jokes in front of me, and sometimes it made me feel like I wasn't even there. However, at the end of the day, I had no real reason to be mad. A couple months in, I found out that they used to cuddle together in bed and fall asleep together as well as the one time that they slept together. That made me feel weird because in my opinion, it's more intimate than just hooking up. He told me that they were both in a bad place and it was just for comfort, but I was still put off by it. I kept my feelings about their friendship to myself because I wanted to like her and not make things difficult for my boyfriend, but she wanted to be really good friends with me. Oddly, one night she invited me to have drinks with her. It was all fine until she told me a couple details about when they slept together and then told me about his ex without me even asking. I brushed it off at the time, but now it's crossed my mind a few times and I'm livid. I don't understand why anyone would do that. I finally told my boyfriend that I didn't like their friendship.
Não vou perdoar porque nós é bandido, bandido.
Story time about how I found my husband using Tinder and all the freaking dating apps. Claiming this is not my story time, it was sent to me on Instagram. Once again, I'm at the airport, sorry. My husband and I were both total sluts when we met. He was seeing like 10 girls when I first met him, and I was dating 3 guys at the time. Well, let me tell you, neither of us trusted each other, like not one bit. Eventually, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I really wasn't sure if I wanted to say yes, but I did. He is so good looking. Like everywhere we go, we get told we're such a good looking couple. So we know we're both pretty good looking. To be fair, we were both addicted to Instagram. I would get tons of DMs from guys, and sometimes I would answer. And I know that he was getting DMs from girls, although he never told me. We dated for a year, and then he asked me to marry him. Of course, I said yes. I thought this was his way of telling me that he was going to commit to me 100%. After 6 months of being married, I started getting really suspicious. He would never leave his phone unattended, and if we were having dinner, he would always put his phone face down. I know you all know that's a red flag. Basically, he was hiding his phone from me like all the time. One night, we got super drunk, and I made sure to wait until he fell asleep. I got on his phone and found Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge. Part 2 is up.
Story time about how I got catfished by my best friend.
Disclaimer, this is not my story time. My now ex-best friend and I hung out almost every single day. We were super close. Let's call her Natalie. Natalie and I would sometimes get into drama, and her mom didn't like this. She considered me a bad influence on Natalie. But honestly, the drama was coming from both sides. Natalie and I had a group chat with one other person. One day, Natalie sends me a message through the group chat saying that she couldn't be my best friend anymore and that she's really sorry. She really didn't explain why, though. I was crushed. She had been my best friend for so long. 3 weeks ago, I noticed that someone added me on Snapchat by search. I didn't really think too much about it. I added them back and we started having a conversation. She was a young girl my age and we started having conversations about boys we had crushes on, school, and lots of other things. I asked her to send me a picture of herself and she said she couldn't. That should have been the first red flag. Then we decided to meet up at the mall. I wait for her at the mall but she never shows up. Part 2 is up. So the escort and I started dating behind my husband's back. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. Like, her and I were in a full-blown relationship. Mind you, I'm a woman. Mind you, my husband doesn't know that I like women only. This went on for a few months. I was living a total lie. My husband would go to work. Since I worked from home, I would go to my escort girlfriend's apartment and spend the day with her. I even took a toothbrush and some clothes. One day, my girlfriend and I decided to go watch a movie. We're standing in line to buy popcorn and of course we're kissing and holding hands. This is when one of my husband's employees comes up to me, taps my shoulder and says hi. But she acted like she didn't see anything. Like she was just coming up to me and saying hi. I could tell that something was off. I mean, she saw me kissing this girl. That's when the guilt started getting to me. I could no longer lie to my husband. I knew I had to come out to him. That same night, I talked to my husband. I confessed everything and told him that I really liked women only. That's when he tells me that he knew about the relationship this whole time. That he knew I only liked women. Part 3 is up.
Here are the motherfucking new nails.
Recently, my 54-year-old dad and my 52-year-old mom have divorced. This wasn't a surprise to me, though. However, a week after the divorce was finalized, my father got a new girlfriend named Sophia, who's 26. I wasn't mad, but I felt like it was a little too soon. At the end of the day, though, it's not my business, but I told my dad I couldn't accept her as my new stepmother as it was too soon and she was only 2 years older than me. He said this was okay, but he hopes in the future I can come around to it. Eventually, my 3-year-old twins met my dad's girlfriend and they didn't like her. They were asking me stuff like who is she and other questions. After she noticed my kids' favoritism towards their biological grandmother, she yelled at me and told me I was raising my kids wrong because they don't treat her like that. I calmly told her that they would eventually come around, but she wouldn't listen and kicked me out of my dad's house. A few weeks later, my husband and I found out that I was pregnant. We wanted to wait a while to tell my family, and at the next family dinner, I told everyone the news. Everyone was happy for me and my husband, but especially my dad's girlfriend. Keep in mind, she still hadn't apologized for her outburst, and I still felt like I couldn't accept her, so when she started saying things such as, I can't wait for my grandbaby, I felt a little uncomfortable, but assumed she just liked babies. That was until she decided.
Story time about how I came out as gay to my husband. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I'm 27 years old, and when I was in high school, I knew that I like girls. In fact, I pretty much only dated girls throughout all of my high school. I did also date guys. My parents were totally accepting of this, by the way. Growing up, I always knew that I wanted to marry a man so that I could have kids. When I got into college, I started dating this girl. Her and I dated for a couple of weeks, and she introduced me to my now husband. So he and I started hooking up behind her back, and she eventually found out, and she broke up with me. Fast forward a few years later, and we're married. But here's the problem. I found myself only being attracted to women, and I was definitely not attracted to my husband. Obviously, this became a huge problem in the relationship. So guess what my husband did? He hired an escort to come spend some time with us, if you know what I mean. This was great, but I basically only wanted to be with the escort, not my husband. A few weeks later, the escort and I actually started dating. It's so bad, I know. My husband had no idea. And this escort actually asked me to be her girlfriend part.
Storytime of how my best friend got so weirdly obsessed with me that she even plotted to kill my boyfriend. So at the time, me and this girl, let's just call her Olivia, had only been friends for about 2 years. I mean, we really did everything together. We were with each other 24/7, and I mean, we were pretty good friends. But the only thing about our friendship is she did not like when I had other friends. I mean, she didn't have any other friends herself, but literally she would joke around about strangling my other friends because she didn't like when I gave my attention to anyone else. But honestly, I just thought of it as a joke. And then I started dating this guy, let's just name him Jacob. He was probably the sweetest guy I had ever met, and he was a real simp for me. So we started dating, and about 4 or 5 months go by, and he started getting these texts from a random number. And it would always be cringy things like leave her or you die, get away from her, and like stupid cringy threats. Then one night, me and him were just hanging out. Then he gets a text with his exact address saying he had till tonight to leave me or he wouldn't see another day. Then we hear a knock at the door.
I absolutely love doing nails. It's my passion, and I love making my clients look like bad bees. Don't give up on your dreams. Thank you for your support. It means so much. My favorite set of the week.
Story time, my pickiest client. So this one time I had this one client, let's just name her Tracy. And the first thing I like to do is show my clients all the colors I have so they can start picking it out. Now Tracy was very picky. Out of all my 200 colors, she couldn't pick a single color. And then she requested if we can mix up a couple colors so she can basically create her own color. Me being nice, I was like, okay, that's fine. I thought she was gonna make me mix one color, but we ended up mixing 5 custom colors for her, which took a lot of time. Not only that, but she wanted a different design on each finger. And obviously this is gonna be a little pricey because not only did it take about 5 hours, and also me mixing all my material led me to wasting a lot of it. At the end of the service, she refused to pay the full amount, and her reasoning was that we grew up together and went to the same school, and then said I could use her for practice. So I clipped her nails off.
Notice that once they get their nails done, their nails just somehow make an appearance in every single video that they're in. Like, my nails will be at the forefront of the conversation.
Okay, show me your tip blade, your acrylic blade, your end cap, shape and files, and the final product. This is how I did. How did you do?
It just needs a little shaping. To the salon!
Too about how my best friend cheated on his girlfriend with me. So like I said, the one night I was at his house and he was on my phone and he was asking me who all these guys were on my Snapchat. And I told him that I had been talking to them and he was just being super toxic. He was talking shit on every single one of them. So eventually I started dating this guy Trey, and after that he texted me saying that I was gross and everything else, when the next day he literally got a girlfriend. But weirdly enough, he didn't block me that time. He actually started texting me more, saying how him and his girlfriend were so happy together, da-da-da-da-da. And unlike him, I would be supportive. Well, the one night at 2 a.m. he came over my house and he was like, I don't have feelings.
Hope you guys liked this video and found it helpful. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. It does help support us and lets know what videos you guys want to see.